Hi, and welcome to Retirement with Jim. Today, we're going to talk about mistakes not to make in retirement. So, the first thing is don't overspend. Don't uh, look at retirement as like, okay, you got this big, huge pot of money. You really have to know, kind of where your money is coming from, and this is where a budget plays such an important role. I talk about budgets all the time. You got to know, just like in, your everyday life, in retirement, where's your money coming from and what do you got to spend it on? What are the things that you absolutely have to cover? Whether it's, you might still be paying rent or a mortgage possibly, you know, what are your utilities, your gas, your food? All of those expenses really need to be covered. What you pay for healthcare, all of that. So, it's important that you have a very realistic budget, so that you can know that you don't overspend. Suddenly find yourself one day going, wow, where'd all my money go? Holy cow. Um, the next is have an emergency fund. You don't want to have to take money out of your 401k or your pension plan that you weren't planning on. Um, Hold on, as FedEx goes by there. um, so an emergency fund is really vital to what your the peace of mind of your everyday life. I recently had to have work done for my car, and nice to have that emergency fund to pay for that, because otherwise that money would be coming out of savings or 401k, and it's just you're always going to have unplanned circumstances, whether it's your car, something at home, furnace, air conditioning. There's just always going to be something that comes up occasionally. That's life, and you got to be prepared for it. The average person can't cover a $1,000 bill, and that really says a lot about how we don't save enough money to prepare for things that happen for us. So don't be caught in that scenario. Don't mind me. I kind of look over here at my notes so I don't forget anything. So it's a great moment to stop and pause here. If you like my video, my content, please hit the like and subscribe button. Yeah, leave comments. I love to hear from you. I try my best to answer all the comments, and it helps my channel grow. So with that, the next thing on the list is Social Security. If you haven't retired yet, you ought to budget as if it isn't there. And I say that because if you can save enough money that you don't include Social Security, you're going to be in great shape. Because I'm a firm believer that Social Security will be there. I know there's plenty of differing opinions on that, but there's 65 million people on Social Security. Congress can't let it fail, no matter what they like or dislike about the program. So I'm sure that there will be changes upcoming. Some of them people will like and agree with, others people will not. But work it as if it's not there, and you will be so much better for it. Remember, Social Security, it was designed to replace 40% of your income, nothing more. So it was never designed to be 100% replacement. A lot of people don't think about that, and that's only so. Think about what you make, look at that 40% mark and go, can I live on that? Because that's really where you'd be. Next one is definitely controversial. I'm going to tell you, stop supporting your adult children. It is time for them to get out on their own and pay their way in this world and make their way in this world. Now, I have 3 adult children, so I know what it's like to have children and to help them. And I have helped my children along the way, but there is a time and a place where it's like, no more, you're on your own. You got to make it, and you got to do it. We all had to get out there and work. We all had to support ourselves. Many of us didn't have necessarily the help of parents. So it's a cruel world out there, that's for sure. But we have to stop making excuses and get them to get off their behinds and do what is necessary. Stop living at home, with mom and dad, and get out there in that world. So many people are willing to, unfortunately, sacrifice your retirement and what your retirement will look like because you're helping your adult children. Time to put that one behind you. Underestimating healthcare costs. Underestimating healthcare costs, that can be something that is, really hurts you, because healthcare costs are going to be what you spend the most money on in retirement, undoubtedly. So you have to be prepared for that, and you have to make sure that you don't underestimate what it's going to cost. So you really have to do your research and your homework on that. Got to kind of look at what your long-term history is, your health history, what's your family history, so that you are prepared as possible. So along with that, you might want to consider, do I take out long-term health care insurance? If you certainly know what your history is, and you know that you might need that kind of care early on, it might be well worth the investment to purchase, long-time care health insurance. I'm really struggling to spit that out today, because the cost, can just be simply overwhelming. So the next is, don't overestimate your savings. How much you have. It's not necessarily, you want to outlive how much you have. You don't want to outlive what you have. You want to be able to kind of spend it. And, many people like to be able to say, hey, I'm going to leave, the X amount, to my children. I'm kind of the opposite. My goal for me is I'm going to spend everything in my account. They'll end up getting my house. That's plenty. But so am I going to leave them, money in a 401k and other funds? No, I'm not planning on it. And that's not about being mean or unloving my children. They're going to get the value of my home, something that I bought and paid for. So they're still getting money, when the time comes. So, don't overestimate, what's in your savings. You want to be able to go, and have your savings, it's an impossible thing to time, but you certainly love to draw it down to very close to nothing and have very little left. Another thing that not to take into account when it comes to not overestimating your savings is inflation. Inflation is hurting all of us. I'm spending an extra about $300 more a month on food. And, we really started to look at how much we're spending on food and the cost of that and the cost of gas. Now granted, I don't drive as much, and so that's good because I'm saving that money. But inflation is a factor in how long your money is going to last. So keep that in mind. Take a good close look at inflation, because it really can do you some harm. And the last thing is something we all know, but we kind of don't think about a whole lot, and that is taxes. Your taxes don't go away in retirement. You still pay taxes on, if you have a Roth, that's great because you've paid your taxes up front and all of your money is withdrawn, tax-free, and it's there because you've paid it up front. But many people have the traditional 401ks, and of course it's pre-taxed, and you're paying taxes once you withdraw. So the same with IRAs. So when you're withdrawing that money, you've got to take into account taxes, and of course you've got your taxes that on your house, your real estate taxes. They're constantly, even if your house is fully paid, you're still paying the taxes on that every year. So keep in mind taxes, and taxes on income is something that you'll have to take a good hard look at. So be prepared for that. Don't forget it, because taxes will come back and bite you. Uncle Sam is always going to get his money no matter what. We all hate it, but it's just a fact of life. So with that, I'm going to call it a day here. I'm going to tell you, have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.